Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rupali Shelke working as an associate professor in electronics department at Walchand Institute of Technology, Solapur. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss with the mobile computing entities. The outcomes of these sessions are, at the end of this, you are able to understand what are the entities of the mobile computing environment. Also, you can classify the applications, standard and services of the mobile computing. The entities of the mobile computing are devices, which are also called as the user devices, the main heart of the network of mobile computing, that is the network and gateways. To connect between the contents and the network, a middleware, and next is a contents can be anything. It may be a voice, data or a video. Now let us see what exactly these entities consist of. Now the first entities of the mobile computing is a user device. The user device is a combination of the hardware device and the software device. These devices are used for computing and communication. There can be two types. They are basically for communication as well as for the computing. So, on the hardware device are called as a user equipment and the software are called as a user agent, and user agent embedded inside. Now, as we are using these devices for computing purpose as well as the communication purpose, so we require such a devices which are performing the computing. Suppose the mathematical operations you want to perform, or it can be a logical operations you want to perform. So we require a computational devices as well as to transmit the informations or to transmit the text messages. We require a communication also. So these devices are the combinations of the computing as well as the communication. Now let us see what are the devices which are being used in a computing. In a computing, the devices are the computers, which are the like a desktop, or it may be a mobile phones. The mobile phones are being classified in both the categories because we can perform the operations on the mobiles also. Laptops, PDA, personal digital access, as a laptop computers. In the communication, it may be a telephone, which is a fixed network, mobile phones, which are used for the communication purpose, as well as a digital TV and the pagers. The next entities of the mobile computing is a dialog control. The dialog controls are used in the two states, either session oriented or a sessionless oriented, depending upon the type of the devices you are using as well as the services you are using. Now the session oriented is for the long term, while sessionless is for the short term, and they are session oriented are used for the devices which are for the devices where input modes are more, while these are used for the devices where input modes are less. For example, suppose that for your mobile phones, if your devices you are not able to connect to the network and you want to know your bank balance over here, then what you can just put a SMS to the put a SMS and you can get your bank balance. And why means you have temporarily, for a short duration of time, you have been connected to that SMS, you will get a reply your bank balance. So means you are temporarily connected, or for a short duration you are connected, or you can this is a sessionless orientation. And when suppose you are working on your laptop, you can have a URL of the bank account, bank then you can type your URL, you can log in into your account and get your information of the bank balance over there. For that you have been connected to the network for URL for a long duration. So it can be, this is a session oriented. Now here was a device was a mobile phone. Here was a device was a laptop. So it depends upon the service and what type of devices you are using. The main important part of the mobile computing is the network. The networks, there are different types of the network which are being provided. Types of the networks are the wireline network, wireless network, ad hoc network, or barriers. In a wireline network, it is a fixed network in which the connection is established and the network is being formed. Examples of the wireless networks are broadband network over the BSL lines, or it may be a cable network for which you are connecting to their televisions, PSTN, that is public telephone switching network, through which you can connect to your landline phones. Satellites are also a fixed network which are being located at a different places, and the internet backbones, even an internet backbones are also a fixed network which are being connected to the large cables like optical cables. Next is a wireless network. Wireless networks are the connections which are wireless, and they are the purpose is for the communication purpose. They can be a personal cellular system, AMPS or GSM system, CDMA system, GPRS system, or wireless line network, or it may be a public telephone networks. Basic but part of this public telephone network is the landline only. Means through the landline you can connect through the mobile wireless also. Next is the ad hoc network, like a Bluetooth. It is a temporarily formed network. The wireless LAN network, like 802.1 Ethernet, EDA network, VANET network, or a magnet. These are the ad hoc network. Next are the barrier services. As we had discussed previously, the barrier services are like SMS service, MMS service, voice. These are the few barrier services. Now, that is TCP/IP, HTTP, SMS, unstructured supplementary service data, WAP, as wireless application protocols, and voice. These are the types of the network which are seen under the mobile computing, which forms the mobile computing environment. Next is the Midway. The Midway acts as a path between the software and the user which are being used. A Midway is a software entity between the user applications and the operating system, or between the applications and the devices. Now suppose when you want to type something on your computer, you are using the keyboard for the typing the messages. The same thing, the keyboard acts as a mediator, midway between the user and the computer. These midways are being classified into the three terms: communication midway, transaction processing midway, and behavior management midway. Communication midways are nothing but a connectors of the different services like TN 3270, IBM mainframe service, etc. Transaction processes, just now we are told that it is a sessionless or session oriented or sessionless oriented. That depends upon the devices and the type of services you are using. Next is a behavior management midways are the managing devices specify the rendering of the runtime dependency of the system. Next is a mobile computing entities are the gateways. Gateway is nothing but a hardware devices which acts as a gates between two network. Gateway protects the nodes within the network. It is also node. It can be a node itself. For examples of the gateway are the routers, firewalls, servers, or any other devices that enables the traffic to flow from one network to the another network, in and out of the network. Next, mobile computing entities is a content. The content can be anything. It can be an application, it can be a service, or it can be a data and the information accessing through the service, or it may be a content services. Now, this is a environment of the mobile computing. You can see what are the devices in the user data, barrier data, gateways, midways, and the content services. Now, what could be the applications of the mobile phones? Mobile computing, the applications can be for the personal, it can be a transaction oriented, or it may be a perceivable, it may be a location specified, component, corporate, entertainment, or government, or the scientific. If you want to have a bank services, you can at home you can sit and you can, from the remote location you can access the bank service. You can do the mobile shopping, mobile banking, you can pay the bills, yeah, you can access to the different news, you can track or you can book your tickets. For various applications and the services you can use the mobile computing. What are the standards? Standards are nothing but the rules and the guidelines or the defined in for the characteristics. These standards are being defined or given by the government, industries, and the personal institutes. They consist of the materials, products, process, and the services which are basically used to or comply these guidelines. The challenges in the mobile computings are device consistence, that are device consistence, or that it maybe depends on the network consistent. If it is a device consistent, limits the resources, process speed, storage space, display, screen resolutions, and the power. If it is a network, it limited bandwidth, higher latency, frequency disconnection due to the power limitations, and availability spectrums and the mobility. And mobile consistence are the performance in a higher variables as per location are varied. Prone to lose due to the thief or breaking. Energy resources are finite. Computational resources such as the processor, speed, memory size, and the disk capability limits due to the consideration of the weight, power, and size of the devices. These are the challenges which has to be considered in a mobile computing. These are the references. Thank you.